Good morning everybody and welcome back to another weekly recap. In the weekly recap, I like to go over any news related to the old school RuneScape community this week, and what a week it has been. We have received actually so many updates and information on future updates that it's going to be kind of hard for me to condense it into one video, but we're going to try. Just to put it in perspective here, today we got a game update, which was the Christmas event for 2020. We got more information on Temporos, the fishing boss. We have the Gilenor Gazette for December, which has a bunch of new information regarding what content we're going to get in 2021. We have the Steam beta, and we have the leadership live stream. So without further ado, let's get started here. And as always, if you guys enjoy these types of videos, don't forget to leave the video a like. It really does help my videos get recommended to other people. All right, guys, let's get started. Now, starting off with today's game update, it's a nostalgic one. It's the Christmas event for 2020. Once again, it's a 5 to 10 minute mini quest, pretty much purely for fun, although at the end you'll get around 80,000 GP in rewards, that being all of the different tradable Christmas rewards, so party hats, Christmas crackers, etc. And this is all available to free to play, so if you're looking for a little extra money, not a bad idea to do the Christmas event. Also just a really fun time, would recommend it. Now this week they made a few additional changes to the setting rework from last week. One notable change to the setting menu I noticed when I logged in this morning is the sound sliders now work properly. I think RuneLite must have updated once again. Previously you could only increase or decrease your sound in about 25% increments. Now assuming you have RuneLite, that is back to the normal 2 or 3%. Now moving on here, we do have some Trailblazer changes, but for the most part they are bug fixes. Now as of the stand-ins currently, to get into Dragon Tier you need 45,000 League points, Rune Tier is 30,000, Adamant is 17.5 thousand, Mithril is 6,400, Steel is 2,000, Iron is 500, and Bronze 100 points. Now one really interesting piece of information that they released in today's game update is something called Prime Plays Soul Wars. Now essentially, if you have Amazon Prime and you have linked your accounts together, one of the ongoing promotions is going to be an early access look at the new Soul Wars minigame. From December 15th to January 5th, you'll be able to essentially beta test the minigame. If you don't have Amazon Prime, you'll still be able to access Soul Wars, but you won't be able to really play the minigame. It's purely to unlock the new music track. So it looks like this was the final partnership idea for 2020. For better or for worse though, this is the next promotion. Now another small update is actually to the proposed Shades of Morton rework. Now in the initial proposal they proposed new bark armors, however those could be craftable with tradable fine cloth material. Essentially that means that you don't actually need to participate in the minigame at all to acquire those new items, even though they are heavily related to the Shades of Morton. To fix that, they're proposing that the ability to make new armors could be learned from a set of scrolls hidden deep within the catacombs. Not only is this more thematic, it also provides a real incentive to actually play the minigame, and they think it adds a lot of value. Now another really big piece of news that came out 2 days ago is they are launching a beta for the Steam release. Now there is a link that you can sign up for the beta, I'll leave it in the description. Now essentially, the Steam release is going to be a brand new C++ version of the RuneScape client, and is set to release on the Steam store in early 2021. Now what's really exciting about rebuilding the client in C++ is there will be new features available such as GPU support, which will help boost performance, and now your FPS will be capped at your display's refresh rate, not like 25 or whatever it is for the base client. That is actually huge, and I'm extremely excited for that, because even with RuneLite's GPU mode right now, I think it still caps at maybe 60 or something. I mean, I guess all the animations are at like 10 FPS anyway, but you know what, that's a really exciting change, and props to everyone working on that. Now another really interesting thing that happened this week is the new fishing boss has finally gone to the polls. Now Temporos was initially proposed earlier in the year. They have come back with some changes, although for the most part it remains fairly similar in my opinion. As much remains unchanged from previous updates, instead of going over all of it today, we're going to be going over some of the major changes that they made just in the last couple of weeks. Now one really major change they have made since the initial proposition back in August is changes to the experience rates. Now initially back in August, they had the experience rates capping at 60,000 XP per hour. Now most people thought that that was a bit conservative compared to other high-end training methods for fishing. Now as Temporos is pitched as requiring a lot of attention, being fairly click intensive, and requiring a high degree of effort, people thought that those experience rates were kind of low. Now today, the current experience rates that they're going to pull are as follows. For 35 fishing, you're going to get around 30,000 experience per hour. At level 70 fishing, you're going to get up to around 70,000 experience per hour. And at 99 fishing, you're going to get up to 80,000 experience per hour. Looks like they're going for a combination of a fairly competitive and high-end experience rate with also a bit of money. So are these experience rates going to be better than the best training methods in the game? No, but they're going to be fairly competitive, and you should also be compensated with some money per hour as well, which hopefully will incentivize people to play the actual minigame. Now another pretty big change is they're actually adding in the Dragon Harpoon as a potential loot from Temporos. It's going to be very rare, but you do have a chance of getting it from the boss, which does make sense. Honestly, I think they should just remove the Dragon Harpoon from Worms. It doesn't really even make any sense at all. I think the Dragon Harpoon makes way more sense to come from Temporos, but that's just me. Now, many of the actual rewards remained unchanged. However, one that has received some changes is the Tome of Water. Now, the Tome of Water is going to be a new drop from Temporos and is going to be very similar to the Tome of Fire in application, although obviously the effects are going to be different. Now, it does require level 50 magic to equip and will provide a bunch of different effects, assuming that it is charged with soaked pages. Okay, so it's going to provide the following effects. Unlimited water runes, that's pretty standard. The standard spellbook Water, Curse, and Binding spells will have their accuracy increased by 20%. The standard spellbook Curse effects are also increased by 50%. For example, the 10% defense reduction from vulnerability would now become 15%. I'm not really sure if anyone uses those, but okay, a bigger one here is the standard spellbook Binding effects are also increased by 30%. So for example, the 14.5 second route from Entangle would now become 19 seconds. Now additionally, standard spellbook water spells would have their damage increased by 20%, and another notable thing here is the ancient magic ice spells will have their accuracy increased by 20%. And the final major difference is they're actually proposing a challenge mode for Temporos, so there's Rage challenge mode, and now there's going to be Temporos challenge mode. So that is it for the more recent changes to the fishing boss. Now again, as I've already gone over the mechanics and most of the items, I'm not going to do it again, but if you haven't read the blog, I would highly recommend doing so. Now next up here we have the Gielinor Gazette for December. Every time a Gielinor Gazette is released, I always find there's sneak peeks, new information on future projects. I really enjoy it. Okay, so we're going to jump down to one of the most important parts of today's Gazette, and that is an updated roadmap for the updates coming in 2021. Now much of the stuff on here is stuff we already knew about, yet there are a few new reveals as well. That being a new quest coming to free-to-play called Below Ice Mountain. This will be a new free-to-play quest that will have players unearth something that is buried deep within the cold heart of Asgarnia. I'm always happy to see free-to-play get some love. Now today's update should have been the last one of 2020, assuming no major technical difficulties come up, this should be it. However, moving on to 2021, we have a lot to look forward to. Now the first updates we should be seeing in the new year are the Soul Wars update, which should be arriving in the first week of January. We also have the new combat achievements, which should be coming in the first month. Temporos, the fishing boss we just went over, should be coming in February to March of next year. And another update in that time frame is the Kingdom Divided quest, which is going to be quest number 149, which seems to imply that it's probably going to come out after Below Ice Mountain. So it looks like development is going to start in February, but it might not be done until April or May. Now some of the roadmap is similar to the last one that was released. We still have clans in the work, Group Ironman, which is probably coming out mid-2021, if not a bit later. Now a few other things are mentioning in today's Gazette. Collection log upgrades. Now essentially it would just be an update to the collection log. This could include anything from UI changes to functionality changes, to improving certain aspects of PVM or clue scroll hunting, or even minigames. And finally here, kind of squeaked in at the bottom, you can't really read it, but what that says is wilderness changes and the wilderness boss rework. I wasn't sure if they're going to be tackling that in 2021, but for those who don't remember, a year ago or maybe 6 months ago, there was a pretty big push to rework some of the wilderness bosses. Now in the current state, the wilderness bosses tend to have really high defenses, which would require expensive gear to kill, but as they're in the wilderness, you can't really do that. So right now, most of the wilderness bosses are abused by using a safe spot, which is kind of janky and doesn't really promote healthy gameplay. So they're proposing doing that rework in the latter half of 2021. So that is pretty much everything with a somewhat concrete plan to it. Now this Gazette also moves into some territory that is less concrete, just ideas that haven't really been solidified yet. Now first up here we have quest speedrunning. This is something I would be extremely excited for. Essentially, it would allow you to redo quests in the game and fight for the best time in a speedrunning kind of format. I know the RuneScape speedrunning community isn't very big yet, but that mainly has to do with the fact that, well, it's not really realistic to do that. You'd only get one chance of doing a Dragon Slayer speedrun, then you'd have to make a brand new account, get the levels required, and do it again. I think personally this is an awesome idea. Okay, next up here would be a new runecrafting minigame. Proposed as a new runecrafting skilling feature that would support making better money out of this skill. Kinda interesting because it is one of the most profitable skills, but let's see. Now at this point they're not really proposing any experience rates or money per hour, but they have proposed some rewards. First here we have the Blood Talisman that would allow you to access the real blood altar over in Mauritania for faster blood runecrafting. I think that's actually quite an interesting idea. Rune packs, which just contain a number of various runes. This would intend to help the activity be a good money per hour. The Colossal Pouch, which would be a rune pouch that could contain 27 essence. It cannot be used alongside the other pouches though, so essentially it acts as all of the other pouches combined in one, a massive quality of life change or even a small XP buff probably, and a runecrafting outfit. When wearing the outfit, it wouldn't give additional experience, instead it would offer additional runes. So quite an interesting idea. Next up here we have something called Faction Wars, which would be similar to something like World vs. World in Guild Wars 2 or Albion Online's Outlands. Really though, all I can see here is a giant fidget spinner. I'm sure the idea is cool though. And at the bottom here we have the Hunting Guild, something I've really been looking forward to for a long time. Now this would be located in Zaya, and it would be built into the back of the Woodcutting Guild. So in the guild, some animals are actually overabundant and require culling. For those who don't know what cull means, it just means exterminate. Some animals are affected by disease and need to be culled before they infect others. My god. Now one other interesting thing they're proposing here is they would allow you to catch particularly large specimen. Think elite mobs, but for Hunter. The ideas are definitely not solidified yet, but I'm really happy to know that the Hunter Guild is in their minds and maybe even on the way in 2021. And that is it for the Gilenor Gazette for December. Anyway guys, that is going to be it for this week's recap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know with a comment down below what you're most excited about for 2021. We got a lot of good stuff coming, and I'm excited. Anyway guys, before I go here, I want to give a massive thank you to one of my newest members over on YouTube. ZIYL, thank you so much for subscribing at the Dragon tier. That is really awesome. Really appreciate it. They're joining James Luft, Brad Sings, Revolver Ocelot, and Kush Patel, who all subscribed at the Dragon tier. You guys are crazy. And also a big thank you to Base Titch, who is subscribed at the Runite tier. If you guys are looking for another way to support the channel, becoming a YouTube member is an awesome way to do so. In return, you can get immortalized in some of my videos, get a custom YouTube member role in my Discord, as well as access to other perks. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.